So one of the most interesting things I read over the last few days was Judge Julia Sebutinde of the International Court of Justice claiming that the Lord is counting on me to stand on the side of Israel. Now, what's interesting is that I did not know that the Bible or any religion really is mentioned in the in Article 38 of the ICJ statute, what gives you the sources of law that judges of the ICJ are supposed to apply to cases before them. But here, apparently, Julia Sebutinde seems to believe that it's the end of times and that she would be a coward. In fact, these are her words, if she did not stand up and side with Israel at this time. And she's very proud of this. She stood in church saying this. Now, there are two reasons for why she could have said this. The first is that she's corrupt. She took whatever benefit that the Israelis were offering, and she, in a almost unanimous decision, she was the only judge out of 17 judges who said, who voted against all 6 measures against Israel for the plausible genocide that's committing, the genocide case at the ICJ. She was the only judge from Uganda, right? Her own government distanced themselves from what she said. And she was very disappointed, apparently, that her government did that. So that's one thing. She could be corrupt, and she's simply using God as a crutch, and these visions that she apparently sees of him calling her a coward as a crutch, and really arguing that God made me do it. I wasn't doing this. So this is just to cover up and to be a guise for her corruption there. The second is, which is more worrisome, is that she's a Christian Zionist. She's an individual, a Christian, who believes that the Jewish people will come to the homeland, they'll be congregated there, and that will usher in the second coming of Christ and Armageddon and the end of times and all of that. These are people who religiously believe that the state of Israel, for these religious reasons, needs to be supported, that the Jewish people need to have this homeland to be able to come back to. And that's why, they're part of a huge part of the Trump administration. They're a huge part of U.S. politics. Much of the support that Israel has is from these fanatics, really. And it's been nurtured over many, many years. The support for Israel that is inherent there. So it's not any sort of support for the Israeli people. In fact, many of these people are anti-Semites, if you would deal with them in any other way. They're as racist as a group of people that you can get. But for their own, beliefs for the second coming of Christ, they want to utilize this as an excuse to bring him there. They're trying to push for that. That is really concerning. And when you get an individual like this in a position as ICJ judge, I think they're unfit to rule on decisions before them. She's clearly enunciated her bias. This is not even a decision on the facts anymore. She can't take a decision on the facts anymore because she's given this bias. Now, one thing that we have in international relations, the reason why international relations are secular is that you can't have a Muslim coming in, a Jew coming in, a Christian coming in, and saying, bringing in their religious arguments to settle disputes inland. Why should anyone else believe someone else's fairy tale, right? That's really the argument there. If God has given the Jews this piece of land as they claim, why should we believe that? We don't believe their scripture, right? That's an argument that anyone else of any other faith can put forward. And similarly, if a Muslim were to bring an argument saying that all the lands that were conquered during the height of the Muslim Empire, they need to be returned. So Spain, the south of France, you name it, all of that has to be returned to Muslim territory. All of that these are what other people would say are fairy tales and really aren't arguments that can be supported when it comes to this international mechanism that we have for resolving disputes, like the ICJ. That is why we have a secular system. And what she is saying and what she's arguing here is far, far worse than simply this, this joke that it seems. It is dangerous because she's taking decisions and bringing in religion there. And it's no surprise that this is linked to Israel, because the only country in the world that insists that we believe their fairy tale is Israel in international relations. No other government or no other country says that this land is ours because God promised it to us. The Israelis are the only ones that say, no, you must believe our fairy tale, that God handed this to us thousands of years ago. And that's why we will now base international politics and international law and international relations based on this promise that was made to us by God, right? That is where it becomes concerning. That is where, your international systems break down, because once the Israelis, once the Jews start claiming this, why shouldn't any other religious group claim their superiority and supremacy? And that is exactly what religions really are, right? It's one group saying that we're better and we are God's chosen people, or we're God's favorites for these particular reasons. It's not going to work out. I think she should be impeached. She should be removed from her position immediately. She has demonstrated her bias, and I think this particular case will be tainted because of anything that she does, because she's not judging on the merits of the case. She's judging on her own religious beliefs. Thanks.
The revolution will be live.